My name is Ian Thomas Ash, and I am a documentary filmmaker, and I am here with Kamanaka Hitomi.
はい、カマです。
Can I call you Kama?
People call me Kama internationally because
Okay.
Kamanaka is a little bit long
Yeah.
to say. So
Okay, so may I call you Kama?
yes, please.
Okay, so please call me Ian.
Ian.
First, I would like to welcome you to the Foreign Correspondents Club of Japan.
Mhm.
And the reason that I chose this place to do this conversation is because I thought it was very appropriate given the international nature of your films. By the way, do you want to? We can speak in Japanese if you want to. 日本語の方がいい
どっ
ですか？
ちでもいいよ。もし日本語にしか私が喋れなくなったら
Okay.
日本語にしましょうか。
Okay, わかりました。
So as long as I try to speak in English.
Okay.
うん。
So, and actually, too, before I ask you that question, I just want to explain kind of what we are doing here.
Yeah.
So, I was asked by the Japan Times English language newspaper in Japan to have an interview with you, but rather than like a traditional interview, because of course we're both documentary filmmakers that are working on radiation issues. So they said, could you please do something like a mini taidan? So first I had to ask my editor, okay, what is a taidan? Because this is a word actually I did not know. So so what he wrote to me was,
It's a conversation.
yeah, a conversation. A taidan is when two people of note who have similar interest fields have a public bilateral discussion in front of an audience and usually take questions from the audience and or moderator to propel the discussion. And then
like an event. You know,
yeah, it's like an event.
Opportunity to sharing something with audiences.
Exactly, because I think that, I don't know, this is actually interesting because an interview, we assume that we would do a lot of preparation and prepare the questions, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. But if it's a conversation, it's more organic. So I kind of like this idea, spontaneous. So when you're making films, for example, how much are you
get ready?
Yeah, get ready, and how much is just spontaneous?
I think maybe 80% to 90% spontaneous.
Okay.
Yeah, I respect my feeling, kind of intuition that I feel like when I go to United States and other countries, it's much easier to interview to people, and I thought it's kind of advantage that so people are kind of relax or
because you're foreign.
Yes.
I prepared so many questions, but I like the idea to just have an organic conversation. So actually,
wow,
your topic,
so much.
So but you've come to a very interesting point that I actually thought we would come to later. But let's talk about that now.
Yeah.
And that is being a foreign filmmaker and how much that affects the work, because you have been. So I watched to prepare for
Iraq?
this. Yes, you've been to Iraq. You've been to, of course, America, and those are the two places in these two films. So I watched Hibakusha at the End of the World and Rokasho Rhapsody. So we can talk about these more in depth later. But you've been, so what is that like? Now, because when you go to Iraq, not only are you foreign, but you're a woman.
Yeah, that was. But so I think the images about Iraq was exaggerated and also kind of distorted by mass media, especially United States media. So before I visited Iraq, I had images of this kind of things, or they are kind of very stubborn people, or narrow-minded people, but when I met them, they were so warm, kind of full of love to families and also open-minded to foreign people, even just citizens to bureaucracy people also. Yeah, they are very open-minded.
Let's talk very, very briefly about what the two films are about, and then we can offer some context for what I'm about to. Yeah, thank you. So first of all, Hibakusha at the End of the World, and this was filmed in 2003. And the other film is Rokasho Rhapsody, which was filmed in 2006. And the very fascinating thing about this is that as you are watching these films, I think at the time that you made them, they had one meaning, they had one kind of meaning, but post Fukushima, they have a completely different meaning.
Maybe.
I think. And it's almost like there were some predictions. Like people were, you can see, and one of the things goes to this what you talked about just now, which is this feeling or this sense. And in Hibakusha, at the end of the world, there's a farmer named Tom who is kind of leading this group of downwinders, and they are living downwind of Hanford. It's a reprocessing plant or a nuclear power plant.
It's a combined.
Combined, okay.
Yeah, because they need so much electricity to produce plutonium. Yeah, for atomic bomb.
Okay, so he is this farmer, and there's this scene in the film where he is making a joke about the fact that the government is saying it's all right, and so I'm just a farmer, he says, so I don't know it. I'm not supposed to know anything. The government says it's all right. It must be all right. And you're in the back of the car laughing. It's really this really funny moment because he's saying, oh no, the government is telling us the radiation stops at the barbed wire fence.
It's a kind of black joke. Yeah, he knows everything, but he says that what it's a reality. So how he sees the reality going on around the Hanford area, farmers are pretending that like this.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's saying, we sense that the radiation is, the government says it stops at the fence, but we know that it goes beyond.
Truth of physics and human society has different way of facing to the truth, I think. Yeah. Physics says that, it's impossible to stop it. And then if you can line it, and then this side and this side, no difference. So, but you can't line forever. So this is human society. So, but in between, people are kind of trapped.
But often, it's the people that are actually living there that have what you said you also have, which is just this kind of sense about what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think this is so important to listen to because in your Dokasho Rhapsody, there's a woman who's selling like organic food.
Yeah, Tomabechi-san.
Yeah. And she says, I want to read you this quote because I think it's really, really important. Because what she says really, I think, sums up everything in the film. She says, there's no proof that it's okay, but if you don't like something, you shouldn't do it. I can't offer an explanation. It's only the way that I feel. The decision comes down to me, not some university professor.
Yeah.
And she, as a
like
person, as a farmer, just has this sense about what's happening.
When that Fukushima nuclear power plants exploded, I expected people started to understand what's going to happen. Yeah, what radiation is. Yeah, but it was completely different.
How was it?
People just waited for something. Yeah, do this and do that from authorities. Yeah, but automatically I was thinking that they are going to escape or they are going to ask government to do right thing, but they are not. Still, very, very small numbers of people are doing it, but majority, they just keep silence and then waited for 3 years. This was really kind of out of my image.
So I made In the Gray Zone in 2012, which was just, it came out 1 year after the nuclear meltdown. And looking back, I think maybe it was too early. Like maybe your Dokasho Rhapsody, it wasn't enough in the public, it was too early. It wasn't enough in the public conscience to be able to understand what it is you had done. Maybe they just couldn't understand. And then I did A2BC, and again, I had a lot of trouble finding a distributor. So I decided, okay, I'm going to show it around the world and then bring it back to Japan, which is what I did. And then once A2BC was a little bit known, now people say, can we see In the Gray Zone? Can we see the other film? So I feel like maybe your work is too early. That it's like ahead of it's ahead of where people are able to understand. How did you get into filmmaking? Did you make other films before you did Nuclear Issues? And then how did you get into Nuclear Issues?
Yeah, so I started making film after university, and then
And you studied filmmaking?
no,
Okay.
no, I was a member of a anthropological explorer club or something.
But it's not so dissimilar, right? It's
It's
kind of like
yeah. So you visit
right.
unknown place.
Mm.
So my boyfriend at the time, he was a member of film circle. Yeah, he was making film. Then I helped him, and then I found, oh, maybe I'm good at this.
It's true.
Yeah, so then at that time, not so many women are in this field. So, but I decided, oh, I like to make film about this. So I visited many film production company in Tokyo and asking, I'm going to be a filmmaker, so please hire me. Nobody wanted. Was some a producer who has been working with me since 30 years. So he said that, okay, let's work with me. So I started my career, and then
You've been working with the same producer for 30 years.
yeah, still now. My new film, he is now 81 years old, and he still produces my film. I started making TV program for NHK. So on the way of doing it, I interested in Iraq because watching TV news, they're always talking same thing, mass destruction weapons, and they're looking for it, and Saddam Hussein is such a bad guy. So and uncomfortable. So then I asked producers of NHK that we really need to make a TV program asking ordinary Iraqi people how they are living. So they said, oh, okay, if you can make it, make it. So then I went to Iraq. Then I met children and also such weapons made from
depleted uranium.
Yeah, depleted uranium. So that was the starting point.
So this is 2003. Was that when you made Hibakusha?
Yeah, but at the beginning was 98.
The first time you went.
So I stayed 40 days in Iraq and meeting Iraqi people, how they are suffering, and also children are getting leukemia and many kinds of cancers, and I visited several hospital and then interviewing doctors, and they say that kind of unusual things are going on. So then,
let me ask you. So you shared this kind of history where it was very. I keep coming back to this word, but very organic, and how you just kind of you got into filmmaking, and then you had a natural kind of interest in kind of activism.
Yeah.
And so then these two things have kind of come together. So do you consider yourself an activist filmmaker?
Yeah, that was a kind of turning point. At the beginning, I just wanted to be a filmmaker aesthetically. So I like to make a wonderful film, like a human story and beautiful things. Yeah. But I asked, you are doing it for what? For whom? So I really have to think about it. Then maybe more than 10 years, I trained myself to make images and the films and the videos and programs. So I got some skills. So then use my skills for what? Just my satisfaction? No, I could see something I need to do. So many people who are not listen, who doesn't have voices and suffering in society, so they need to be known, should be. So maybe I can help something. That's how. So that's how I can use myself to it. So it was in between. I cannot say clearly I'm activist. or I'm filmmaker. Maybe in between, but just recently I think more and more uh, to make kind of perfect film is second.
I think of so many things.
Mm.
One is my own struggle with
Mm.
when people refer to me as an activist filmmaker.
Mm.
I have not been able to embrace the word activist yet. I know that what I'm doing, I hope that it can help people.
Yeah.
But I also feel like if I'm only an activist filmmaker, then the people who watch the films, only other activists will watch the films.
Yeah,
And
that's a problem.
yeah, so how do we do that? How do we as filmmakers?
Mm.
Because I want people who don't know there's a problem. I was thinking about your film, Hibakusha, and that there are people in America who need to see this film. But the people who need to see the film are not going to seek it out.
Yeah.
And the people who do seek it out already know there's a problem. I feel this is true for my films as well. How do we get people to watch the films who don't know about the problem?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this same thing long time. Documentary films always putting camera on to kind of sharp people who has opinion, or but I kind of get rid of those kind of people. I focused on really normal, ambiguous, and not conscious, and but only things there in their mind is we need to protect children. They don't know what to do. They're kind of struggling, and they don't have kind of clear words. So for 3 years, I think they kind of progressed slowly and slowly. Yeah, but it's easy to bring people who analyze. Oh, this is that, and this is it, and and oh, this is so bad, or the government is so not fair, or but those people who are in my film, they don't say it. But you can see, oh, this is not fair.
So let's just talk briefly about your new film. So we're now 3.5 years almost after the nuclear accident. When did you make the film?
So I started filming from 2011 June.
Okay, so 3 months after the accident.
Yeah.
And then when did you stop filming?
It was February
of this year. So, well, 2.5 years we're filming.
No, it was June, the last shoot.
This past June.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So
it also became an ending.
In your films, you often go to different places and you make these connections between these connections that you just wouldn't even think about. And when you edit them, you don't give the audience any chance to adjust. You simply, we're in Iraq, now we're in Hanford. And in Hanford, there's someone from Hiroshima. And you make these connections in your film. So in your new film, I want to ask you, is it only made in Fukushima?
So my new film, Little Voices of Canon, Little Voices from Fukushima is English title. It's about mothers who want to protect their children from radiation exposure. Yeah, but it's already happened.
Right.
In Fukushima, but not only Fukushima and wider area, include Fukushima.
Right.
Yeah. So the other place is Belarus.
So you do go to do go to.
So I combine the two places in one film.
Right.
So I expect kind of chemical reaction.
In the audience. Or,
not in film. So it happens after you watched two places. What's going on? It's a 25 time delay. 25 years. So 1986 and 2011. So 25 years difference between Fukushima and Belarus.
When does the film come out?
Going to premiere maybe in March next year. May I ask something? So you So maybe your budget is not so big compared to my budget, but still making film cost. So how you could manage?
So this question is a question, I hate this question, but every filmmaker is thinking about it. And, you know, I really struggle. I was working a job, a completely different job, and using my own money to make films. And also I had an individual sponsor who was helping me to make films.
You don't have producer?
No. I have a producer in the sense that I have someone who helps me with the story, but they don't come up with any money. I have nobody, because the films don't make any money, and I don't actually pay myself. So when I look at the budget of my film, it's the true budget of how much things cost, but nobody, you know, I don't get paid. But I have people that say to me, if you really are an activist filmmaker and you really just want to get the message out, then why do you charge to show the film? Why don't you just put it on YouTube for free? Why do you make me go to the cinema and pay money if you really want people to see the film? And I struggle with this myself.
Wow.
Because, well, I think, well, how am I supposed to pay for the film? Right? How am I supposed to, how do we...
So this is my educational task, I think.
Okay.
I'm telling my audience and the people. So I'm providing this information and these images and this film, and then you think that a TV program is free. It's different. It's misunderstanding. You are so much paying for TV. You just don't know.
Right.
Yeah. So paying for entrance fee and buying DVD is nothing compared to watching TV. That you are paying for.
I'm at a point right now in my career where I have no more money.
Yeah.
So what do I do?
So I always talk to audience that what I'm doing, making film, is maybe purely economical activities, you think. But I'm putting social issue into my film, and which is not so easy to do. But I really need to show this to you. So do you think that you need to see this film, this kind of film? You like to have this kind of film in our society? If you think so, please support.
Okay, I'm gonna think of some more questions. But do you have any questions? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, so A2BC.
Yep.
So you started from Yamashita-san.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how you could do that shooting. It was very difficult to access to Yamashita-san. So he was so protective, and then. Yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Yamashita is he was like an advisor to the government. He was helping after the nuclear meltdown to create policy, and he studied. He's from Nagasaki. His parents were Hibakusha in Nagasaki, and he was doing research and things in Chernobyl. So this is who he is.
He's a very famous researcher of Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Internationally.
Yes. So he came here to the press club.
Oh yeah.
About 12 days after the nuclear meltdown, and he gave a press conference. And after the press conference, he gave the press conference in English, which I think is very important because his English is not very good. I have to tell you, Dr. Yamashita's English is not very good, and this is important.
Why he likes to have a translator?
Because I think that is part of the reason he's trying to make people not understand. It's part of his act. Exactly. He's just this puppet. And so anyway, so he comes here, he gives this speech. So of course, none of the Japanese journalists understand what he's saying. So all the foreign journalists leave the room and they go to write the articles. And only the Japanese reporters remain in the room. So he was still at the table and all the Japanese reporters came.
Really?
And he gave an off-record press conference in Japanese, but it's all off-record. So I was there, and of course he looks at me. I'm the only white person in the room. He thinks I don't speak Japanese, and I'm sitting there recording the whole thing.
Wow, that's how you could.
Yeah. Now it's very interesting that you. So this goes back to the thing about being a foreign filmmaker, and I want to ask you a question about being a foreign filmmaker and about being a female filmmaker. But first, I want to draw a connection between Dr. Yamashita because there is a professor. Sorry. Let me. I can't even read my own notes. But okay. So there is a guy. All right, Dr. Fox, who works at the Hanford nuclear facility. And one of the things he says.
Evidence.
Evidence. So he says,
scientific evidence.
Exactly. I'm a scientist. I sort things out based on data. Data should decide these issues, not propaganda, not fear. And it really reminded me of Dr. Yamashita, this kind of way of thinking, well, it's only about numbers and it's only about data. Because I think when you talk about any of these issues, if you talk about Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Iraq, Fukushima, if you talk about anything, and if we only look at the numbers, I think it's very easy to forget each number represents a person. And people say things like only one person will become sick, but to that one person, it's 100%.
Yeah, that kind of sensitivity is always missing in those kind of scientists. Yeah, but the Dr. Fox.
Yeah.
So conversation with him, I kind of did mistake. I thought so they had pride, but the pride was kind of broken, and they became so protective. So that's why I kind of hit the button that.
But I don't think that's a mistake. I don't think you made a mistake.
That I made him angry about.
I made Dr. Yamashita angry.
Yes.
I mean, you have to break through that sometimes because that's why you're a good filmmaker. I mean, if you don't break through that, then we have nothing.
Yeah, kind of straightforward always. Yeah. I like to ask something, so I ask.
Me too. So let's talk about that because you're a foreign filmmaker, and I want to talk about language. There's a few questions I have about language. So I'm also a foreign filmmaker, so I make films in Japanese in Japan, and you make films in Japan, of course, but also you go abroad and you do that in English. One of the things we talked about was that maybe people felt disarmed by the fact that you're foreign, that it was a little bit easier for you, maybe because you were foreign.
Not protective.
They're not protective.
Yeah, they became a kind of relaxed.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you because I noticed this in your films, and I think it's true in my films as well. But because although your English is extremely well, it's not perfect, and nor is my Japanese perfect. And I think that on some level, people sense that they have to sort of speak more straight. You know that they can't bullshit because it won't work. And so I felt like people were speaking very straight in a very easy to, not in a condescending way, but in an easy to understand kind of way.
Yes.
How do you feel when you go abroad? Do you always feel like a foreigner, or do you just? Because I don't. I don't feel like a foreigner until somebody says to me, you are a foreigner. 外人としてはどう思われますかと聞かれない限りは多分あまり意識してないというか。What do you think?
Yeah, so I think it's from my small age. So I see anybody, even American people or Iraqi people or any other country people, same. But this kind of consciousness is not conscious for majority of Japanese people because society forcing you, oh, you are a woman, you are a woman, oh, you are a woman, you are a foreigner, oh, you are a foreigner, you are a foreigner. So many occasions that in everyday life you have chance to told that, oh, you are foreigner, oh, you are a woman. So you have to realize, oh, I have to behave like that, behave like this, but I'm ignoring it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you behaving like a Japanese woman should behave?
No. Yeah, but I sense that, oh, this guy is expecting me to do it. Then, yeah, I'm very good at break Japanese men's pride. Unconsciously.
Unconsciously, really?
I don't know, it's a habit. Yeah. For example, in Rokkasho Rhapsody, I had to access to people who promote reprocessing plant,
Right.
and also, of course, they are supporting nuclear power plants and the policy of Japanese nuclear policy. So I need to access them, and I'm a woman, and everybody they are man society. So I think nuclear society is man society. So and those people who are promoting nuclear in Dokasho village, I really had to manner as a Japanese woman. I consciously I did it.
You did that to get the interview, but
Yeah.
then once you were in the interview,
No.
you didn't.
But I had to respect them, their manner. That otherwise they couldn't allow me to bring camera in. Yeah.
Well, you talked about camera. When you're filming, usually how many people are on your crew?
3.
Okay.
You. I and the camera and sound recordist. Sometimes assistant. Yeah. 3 is kind of unit.
Do you ever film yourself?
Yeah. Because a very intimate interview I do by myself,
Right.
alone with this camera.
Yeah,
with,
me too.
Like a small camera.
Yeah,
so for Rokkasho Rhapsody, Madarame-san is in,
Yeah.
and he's
the geneticist. Is he, or he's
he
the Tokyo University
professor.
professor. Okay.
Yeah, and also head of nuclear committee of Japan now.
Okay.
Yeah, so he doesn't know me, and he thought that this is just a small woman who is bringing small camera and nothing, so he could talk freely.
Right.
Yeah, but now Ministry of Commerce, they
know who you are.
they hate me.
We were just talking about Professor Madarame. He says something like,
it's money.
It's money. This is the point. This is the point. He says regardless of whether the path we are on is the right one, this is the path that we have chosen, and it all comes down to money. But basically, everything comes down to money. Whether it's the nuclear issue, whether it's filmmaking, whatever it is, everything comes back to one thing, and that is money.
It depends on money, he said. Yeah, so if people accept spent nuclear fuel or not, it depends on money.
Right.
Yeah, that's how he said.
I'm afraid that we are almost out of time. So
5 minutes.
Yeah. So in closing, share something with the audience that you would like them to know in closing.
Yeah.
You can speak directly to them.
Wow, I'm shooting by myself, but I'm not comfortable to talk to camera.
Me too.
Yeah. So to audience. Yeah, so documentary film production in Japan is not so easy. Yeah, because mass media really taking over whole fields that people believe in. Mass media says it's true, even after March 11th. But so we are making small media, but this media only can tell things what mass media doesn't talk about. So that's why I think so importance is there, but we are all struggle economical side. So this is our kind of trial. So but we can support to watch and or involve. I'm not now. I'm doing crowdfunding. So crowdfunding is a nice system. You can be a part of making film. Please join us.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for you too.
And we didn't. I mean, I had all these notes that I wanted to talk about. We didn't really get to.
I'm spontaneous. I'm sorry.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. It's like a documentary. So I hope that we can do this again, and that we can meet again.
Yeah.
And so maybe since you're also since you are my senpai film director, maybe you could please do the honors of turning off the camera. So thank you very much.
Bye bye. あれを持ってくればよかった。ブロッシャー。
映画の？
映画の、今ちょうど出来たてなんです。
いい感じでマイク
はい。あ、いいね。はい。
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah,
ありがと
I think the audience that is reading this is not only interested in the individual films, but they're
Mm.
interested in you, as a filmmaker as well.
Mhm.
And so I want to go back to my
Really?
question. Yes. Well, I think it's. I
Mm.
think the thing is I will go to a screening of my film, and then you mentioned how the press after one of your screenings
Yeah.
didn't have any questions.
Mm.
I like it when there's questions about the film. What I don't like is I don't like personal questions, but I know the audience wants to know.
Yeah.
And actually, I felt myself doing the same thing when you mentioned, well, I got into film because my boyfriend, was in film. And then you said, well, then I went to Canada, then I went to New York City. And I'm thinking to myself, what happened to the boyfriend? And I know that's the same. That's the same. And that's the same question. I hate those questions, but I had that question.
Yeah.
What happened to your boyfriend?
Forget about it.
Okay.